7 of them I'll take for 5.
And she says that to me.
Okay, so you want my card for 2.
It's wonderful.
8 pounds. 40. Okay.
Somebody from each of the different branches of the Freudian Letter talked about what's going on in their branch, and then Richard gave a paper sort of following from that, and about what his school was restricted, and was interrupted really smartly. This thing came up as a response to a question that Penny asked. So, it was one of those Penny questions. It's impossible to boil down. Very smart question. And I could have
You are late.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right.
So we stole our shares.
They can all come along.
We got someone
Okay.
Nadia?
the room.
Chloe?
There's one chair here.
Yes. There's another person.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's probably.
Well, Angelos made a comment earlier that I told him that even in England the Cypriots are late because we have this saying in Cyprus that he's English, he's on time. I don't know if that's true, but he says it's not. Angelos kind of put the sentence differently. He says they bring Cyprus in England, so I don't know if it's good. So I will try to prove Mr. Mark Fisher wrong, because a year ago he made a comment about Freud. I will extend that in Psychoanalysts, that Freud was very bad with jokes. So I will start, it's a great joke, but so I will try not to translate it, and certainly not to create a meta-language, but I will try to transliterate that. The Greek word for transliteration is metagraphy, and it's related to the letter. So the statement is there is no meta-language, but there is a metagraphy. So there was this stork, you know the story with the stork, the big bird that brings babies. Do you have that story in England? Okay. And this stork was carrying a white sheet, cloth, and inside it there was a 90-year-old man with Pampers? Diapers. And the old man turns and says to the stork, "Why don't you finally admit it? We are lost." So, a bit fun. I didn't prove you wrong. Okay. Well, this is a kind of metaphor, or whatever you want to call it, for how psychoanalysis can work. The most difficult thing for psychoanalysts is to ask them. Actually, I had the luck to have really good supervisors that they got into the trouble of asking me, they didn't say something in relation to the other or the symptom or whatever. They asked me very humanly, why did you do this intervention? Nothing to criticize me or to interrogate me, but I could hear in their speech that they wanted me to be responsible and able to testify for what I did in analysis. That's the ethic. So, and very few times I used language or terminology. I mean, I think I could do that, but that's the disability of many analysts. They write their cases and it's full of this terminology, which at the end it subtracts not only the body from the experience of psychoanalysis, I mean the flesh, or even the body of signifiers, but the humanism. It's like economics. They speak about the statistics and like in Greece now, they speak about people suffering. Greece is not doing very well. They never mention about the person suffering. So what I think is happening is the word is here. Mark Fisher could speak more about it. It's the essence of psychoanalysis is nothing more than life. The direction is life. Penny once told me that psychoanalysis is not a point of arrival. You don't go there for the rest of your life. Your life is outside, so you go there so you can return to life. And I will add something to, I have it somewhere here. Lacan wrote an essay from the cosmos to the Heimlich. I think there should be another addition to that, from the unheimlich to the world. What are we doing with our desire? What are we doing with, I know it's one of the themes of identifications after psychoanalysis, but what are we doing after psychoanalysis? How is our life? How is our suffering? So I think it's one of the reasons that psychoanalysis does not have this presence as it should, because it can really function as a point of reference for humanism, and life itself is because it's actual humanism became too intellectual. We spoke a bit earlier when Richard was commenting on something that, I mean, you can try by yourself, ask analysts to deal, ask them about football, ask them about simple stuff in life that bothers you. And of course, I'm not rejecting anything, but they are not able to speak. I tried that once in a cartel. I explained my whole case using only language, my language and language used by the analyzer. I never mentioned anything about jouissance or anything. And the first attempt was from the members of the cartel. I will not mention names, that's not the point. They tried to put this experience I had as an analyst and the experience that I was testifying for the analyzer into mathematical equations. Another thing that you will notice is in many other encounters you might have with Lacanian or other analysts, there will be this urge from the crowd, because analysts think that they are very good teachers when they are not. They shouldn't be. Lacan himself spoke as an analyzer. You will see bodies having this urge to come and write on the board. Again, it's the same thing. The ousia of what is being said is missed, and we need all these formulas, which have their values, to reduce the whole experience of psychoanalysis. And most people forget that when that happened, Lacan himself dissolved his own school. So, I start this paper by Father forgive them for their idiots. That's the only thing I'm going to read, because I'm kind of bored of reading. I try to expose my speech and my body and my impossible stupidity. That's the only way I can learn and maybe receive good questions from you. But this one could be funny, so I will read it. Father forgive them for their idiots. That's from the Bible. I changed because they know not what they are doing, because they suppose that they are subjects of knowledge, or even worse, subjects supposed to know. We are hiding very well people, besides that. Well, it's his responsibility, it's not mine. I mean, you should know something. You should know about empty spaces. You should know empty spaces, by the way, it's something that Penny uses. And it relates to something that Jo said 3 years ago, when she keeps forgetting. When I met her, she told me that she's interested in the formation of the creation of empty spaces. And I said that to you a couple of times, and I kind of like that. That's how analysis should function. What we do in analysis is to create the opposite of Tetris, you know, the game. You try to fill all the gaps. You don't do that by interpretation. You don't do that by intervening in everything. The subject has to learn not to live by its division, because for me the only gap that is there, the subject is divided by two things. What is actually repressed, I think I said that last time, was you can think of the signifiers or the representations, or the representatives of ideas, representations. At the end it comes to what is foreign to the subject, its own desire. So what is impressed, it's the space of desire. I wrote language. My experience of psychoanalysis, because Helen asked me, what is that? That's the Greek term, noigulo. It means how, think of free association, think of how you speak, think of the headaches you get in psychoanalysis, of the things you don't want to say because the name of the father or idea functions there. Free association is very difficult. It's even more difficult to do it when you want to go beyond meaning. Very few analysts will speak as if they are madmen. They will speak free associated, but it will be at the level of meaning. They don't know how to use independent clauses. So, try of an analysis that the analyst speaks like a football game. It just goes here. It moves. They are the object and the fundamental fantasy. They make their appearance in terms of time much earlier than what they would have done otherwise. So language, it's the drop of the object or the letter A there, but it's the place. It does not relate to a gap. We need the gap, we need the lag. Well, I will speak about the presence. That's why I wrote here the word parousia. It has the word ousia there. And I will relate it to the knowledge of the psychoanalyst, the seminar. When Lacan speaks about that other who is absent from the sessions, and he says we cannot do much about it. Actually, we can. That's what is absent from the sessions. It's the space of desire. We can create that, but this parakletos, it's another religious terminology from the Bible. It's the one who is called. It's next to be called. It's para, next to. He's called. Something is called in the session. So you create space in the sessions for this something else that is out there, besides suffering and the symptoms. To have his appearance there. That's kind of hard for analysts to deal with. So I'm talking about the presence, not the presence of the object or anything that brings anxiety, but the presence and the creation of empty space. Here, in terms of supervision, everything I'm saying is related. I'm trying to semi-free associate. So hopefully you ask me stuff like they are related to my own blind spot. The difficulty of analysis and analysis in the sessions, because we're analyzing from here, is how to create a logos, a speech. Sometimes I use the upper dot, which is used in Greek, in English. So I bring the Cypriots in the UK also, Cyprus. But we need to use punctuation differently. Punctuation is used for the simple reason of breathing. In some languages, the punctuation, they have special punctuation that is related specifically to the letter, and the translation, the best translation I can get is rough breathing. The letter tells you something. And there is a confusion with the letter. My opinion, you can disagree with that, but kind of speaking is to receive your disagreement. I do not believe that the letter it's what marks your body. I don't believe that it's what is repeated and marks your actual body. That is the work of the master signifier. It's a signifier that marks your body. The letter is hidden and has a stasis because of the signifier. If you pay attention to the letter, or to the actual letters in analysis, they will tell you what type of intervention is coming up. They are small problems. It's not what is there within, if you follow the signifier, the change of words or the object that is between the gaps. These letters will appear and be attached or change their shape. That is like moist. Lacan speaks of a wall, again in the same seminar, and I think he's marking what is a letter. The letter changes, it shifts. It's like moist, it's a living organism. And it changes and is attached to signifiers. So a small letter in a signifier, in terms of meaning also, in terms of interpretation, tells you what is coming. You shouldn't take that as knowledge, but the analyzer will create that space because of your presence there. They tell you what type of figure of speech you will use. Figure of speech, I'm using it as a figure of speech of literature, but also as the terms of the body. So let's go somewhere else. Last time we spoke about the act. I speak a lot about the act. The act, let's say this is a graph of desire, it's a bad one. The act comes from here. It cuts both, creates space. Does not unify them. It cuts. And in terms of the body, because there is a question analysis also, not only related to the legend of how to be a man or a woman, but also what to do with my being. I wrote somewhere about, it's a game, like desire, that's being, and I think in French, you will correct me, is destiny's, destin.
La chose.
Destin, there's a word. Not destin, destiny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Le destin.
Okay, wrong translation, but anyway, I play with that. It's the replacement of the object with a cause, and the source of whatever drive is there is my whole being. It's what do I do with my body? Especially in this era we are living, that you have all these objects, and now they are getting like phones, cameras, whatever, and now they are getting smaller, they are getting attached to your body. They disabled you from asking what am I doing with my body. I'm going to have my Google glasses, so I think it's the next big question that comes. I have many people coming analysis, and the actual question is they don't know how to orient their being, their body. We spoke about territories. I will speak a little bit about the breath also. We spoke about gaps. I will speak about identification with the breath, which I wrote a paper about identification with desire. How do I identify with the breath? It's the experience that you get when you are in a certain place that is like a hall, and you feel that it's here I should be. The question is the same as last time. How does the body of signifiers breathe? How do we breathe as subjects of the signifier? Where should I be to be able to breathe, but to breathe my speech? That's why I spoke about psychoanalysts being having it difficult to speak to the world. That's why many people, if you cause desire not to the imaginary level, I will give you an example. You can write nice books, a bit stupid for me, related to these capitalistic problems, like why we are so interested in beauty, like this type of questions. There are a few of these books, people know that, think you are like a genius or a master, and they come to you for analysis. There is no way that an analysis will happen there, because the analyst himself tries to give answers and reduce psychoanalysis, which is an enigma. Psychoanalysis does not exist. There is no such thing as existence of psychoanalysis. It's another mistake we do is when we put on our websites, of course, we try to explain, and then I will go to the body after that. If I forget, please remind me because it's important. That happens in America, no? They either compare in their websites, they put another there to explain psychoanalysis, which is precisely what we shouldn't do. Psychoanalysis is an ethic, but it's an usia. It has an essence, and it can subsist by itself. Of course, you need both there, but you don't have to compare it with CBT and put it in terms of time, and then explain, oh, but you have to go deeper. I don't care about going deeper. I want my symptoms to disappear. I don't want to suffer. I'm not saying to change our orientation, but or young analysts, including myself, okay, I'm practicing psychoanalysis now. What do I do? Do I have psychiatrists as friends? We think in terms of imaginary positions, which are fine if you have your ethic. But I will mention the third way that Machiavelli spoke of. Well, he spoke about this term in a different context, but he spoke about winning the people. Not the body, but the people. Why people will come to me and pay? He wouldn't make the difference if I was a CBT practitioner or to you, or to Joe, to everybody.